If we can rise for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That we call this meeting to order. First item of business is the approval of the agenda.
Don't see any changes. I move.
Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is approval of the previous minutes, that being the board meeting of September the 7th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public comment. Everybody's here for a purpose, so they'll be called on later. All right. I don't see anybody on the Zoom, so we'll move on. Our first appointment is at 9:30, so we will move to the consent agenda first. Consisting of approving a cup for Josh and Autumn Wisty, Mike and Jennifer Wisty.
That's action item.
Oh, heck, we don't have any consent agenda.
Nothing on consent.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's on the action item.
It's
isn't
an
it?
action item, yeah. But with no consent agenda, we don't have to approve it. We can move on to the action item. I would like to reverse the action items. I know Mike is here. But the highway department is here. Number 3, consider approval to award the low bid for SAP 028 599 094 in the amount of $637.63. $637,763.25 for the bridge replacement in Looney Valley.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, so we had that bid opening last Friday at 10 o'clock. We did have 2 bidders. Our engineer's estimate on that was 701,519. Minimum construction came in low at 637, 763.25. It's our recommendation of that contract.
Is this for next year or is I see that this year?
We're still shooting for this year. We gotta talk to them. We're gonna see kind of where the beams fall in as far as the precast beams on single span on that. So depending on when we can get those delivered, our goal is to get that built yet this fall.
Well, there is another outlet
Yeah.
up the road for the farmers, so I guess it'll be a little inconvenience, but they'll be able to get across there.
Right. We just bounce around a little bit for construction. I haven't had a chance to talk to them and see what their schedule is yet as far as construction of the beams, so. That's on the suppliers.
I make a motion, we approve the bid for Looney Valley Bridge project.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the Looney Valley Road Bridge project. Any other discussion? This is quite a bit lower than the engineer's estimate.
Yes.
What areas?
I think a lot of it came in, on as far as your big ticket items, as far as like mobilization and just your guaranteed.
Okay.
Like I said, we're coming. So, and with our teams.
Okay. So there's multiple things that resulted in
Yeah.
lower price.
We just competitive bid.
Mhm. That's good. That's what we like to have.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
And only two really tried for it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Didn't recognize you there. Last Friday it changed.
Neil, you too. Good luck. Next action item is consider approving a CUP for Josh and Autumn Wisty and Mike and Jennifer Wisty to build a dwelling on less than 40 acres in an agricultural protection district in Spring Grove Township. He is not here, but Greg, you were involved with that?
I guess there was no problems. Nobody had any complaints.
one neighbor asked a few questions, but that's fine. Looks like a good deal.
Okay. It's a family situation as far as,
They have
That's
a
concerned.
grandson that's got a lot of health problems and they're gonna move down near the farm so they can help out.
Does this have anything to do with the quarter
No,
deal?
he is.
Second
He's
one,
building on a separate quarter, but he just bought the 5 acres.
separate quarter.
More questions?
Mike, you want to add anything or? No. Make a motion, we approve the CUP for Josh and Autumn Wisty.
Also,
motion made and seconded to approve the CUP. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Mike. The next action item is consider reaffirming the completed resolution which states that the county board chair and the county auditor treasurer are authorized to sign the agreement. The resolution was passed on September 7th of 2021 without the actual authority being given. This came through Donna. So I think it's a formality to approve the affirming of the signatures.
So you just need to go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, so commissioners, this was just, the motion was made and the actual form was not filled out completely when it was passed. So we just wanted to make sure it was formal and we just entered the names in of auditor treasurer and board chairman. So that's all it is. You're just reaffirming that it was passed. And so it's going to be formal in the records. And then
So you
we'll,
don't,
and Bob, you'll go ahead and sign it now today. The agreement with your signature on it, and I will sign it as well. But it was actually passed last week.
right, so you don't really need a motion, you just need a consensus to confirm the resolution.
Yeah,
Consensus of motion.
well, I would just make the motion. I would just make the motion.
I make a motion, we reaffirm the completed resolution.
Second,
Motion made and seconded for the reaffirming of the completed resolution. With the county chair, board chair and auditor treasurer are authorized to sign the agreement. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's the agenda has 9:30 as the start time for the bank presentation. I suppose we should wait till 9:30 in case anybody was wanting to get online or something to hear it.
Okay, I don't think that it's a major
think so?
thing. For closed sessions, you have to follow the time.
Yeah, I don't,
But
I
you
think
don't have to for,
everybody's here. so
Yeah,
we
no,
can
you
start.
Then
don't have,
we'll move on with that.
yes.
Bring the appointment early. This isn't like a doctor's office, where your appointment and you wait later. Okay,
This is county government, we're fast.
No, you only have to.
but for everybody that's gonna speak, you're gonna have to come forward to the
bring chairs and sit up here.
desk up here because that's where our microphone is.
Cheers.
Good morning.
First, I want to start by introducing who we got here, some of the other members of our team is Richards Bank. What we propose for you today on the deposits from coming here. Here to my right, I have Nick Benz, Treasury Management Specialist with Richards Bank. To my left here, I have Marcus Springs, he is a credit card specialist with a credit card group. And in the back, I also have Andrew Guzzo here, Regional President for the Southern Region of Richards Bank. And then also a lot of you probably know Manon Holscheit, who would be CSR within our Caledonia branch with both myself as market president for Caledonia and Spring Grove, being kind of the local go-to people for the county with the deposits. So Nick has some handouts for you and is going to kind of go through a presentation on what we think we can provide to the county. Nick? Appreciate that. Step up there.
Sure.
You bet.
Some paperwork.
Come forward.
Polly, can you please grab one for me?
Perfect amount.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your time. Appreciate you having us here today. A brief look at your accounts. Steve Don had sent us some bank statements a year's worth. And we put some numbers together for you to show you what banking at Merchants Bank would be comparable to your current structure. From the PowerPoint presentation here, as Matt went through, there's a list of folks that are here today, phone numbers, email addresses. It's a football town, so you think of Matt here as your quarterback, and he'll bring in whoever he needs on the team at the appropriate time. So for today, you get me and you get Marcus on the treasury management side on the card side. Next slide is about Merchants Bank. If you're not familiar with Merchants Bank, we're based out of Winona, Minnesota. Been around for over 100 years. Located in Wisconsin, Minnesota, $2.5 billion bank, and growing. Looking at actually purchasing some other banks. So we're in constant growth mode. It's a really fun thing to be in.
Also,
Go ahead.
also
Yeah,
going
please.
to add too, Houston County has the Crescent, Caledonia, and Spring Grove as the branch locations here in our local county.
Please jump in with any questions. This is really informative for us. So, any questions on Merchants Bank itself? You probably know who we are at this point in time. Merchants Bank, of course, is a full service bank, and like we said, Matt's quarterback to bring in the appropriate folks for the appropriate things the county would need. So today you get our team, but we do have other services that we do offer within the bank, and they're all listed right there. So what we did was took a year's worth of your bank statements and put together, what you're currently using, what you're currently getting with your current bank structure. And then we provided a structure of how we would have banked the county over the last year and what that would look like. So your current structure is listed there. There was 9 bank accounts we've received bank statements for, and we've analyzed those. So the way it works currently with your current bank is there's 8 out of the 9 accounts actually do not earn interest. They earn what's called a dummy interest earnings credit rate, and that rate and what you earn on that credit goes to your bank's fees, and you don't earn actual physical interest. Does that make sense? I know it's some bank lingo in there, but it's kind of an offset of what they're charging for their
Fees.
the fee. Exactly. Yep, that's right. And there's one account, the 6897, it's called Houston County Auditor, that does earn interest. It's at 0.05%, very small amount. So there's one account earning interest, and the rest earn the earnings credit towards fees. Any questions on that? That makes sense. No.
So Donna, it's when you're talking about earnings credit for fees,
Yes, sir.
no interest earned.
Yes.
Oops.
The earnings credit for fees never exceeds the fees.
You can, yes. So if
So
your
you
earnings
could
credit-
earn some.
No, it's actually a dummy interest. So if your earnings credit is higher than your fees, you don't pay any fees, but you don't earn any excess.
So those credits carry over.
They do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically loss.
Okay, so I just have a question. This is Donna. So if the balance is if the balance falls down to or below $1 million at any point in time, so there will never be any fees? If some months like January, February, March, there's not a whole lot of money in the accounts because we're waiting for taxes to come in, like right now.
Is there a minimum deposit threshold?
Great question. There's a spreadsheet towards the end. We'll kind of show you how that all worked out. But
Okay.
there's no minimum balance that would waive fees because your fees are kind of based on your transaction, how many transactions you are. So your fees will be different every month. There's not a cap, if that makes sense. So there isn't like if you look at your structure down, if you kept $1 million, that wouldn't waive all your fees for every month. And I'll show you that.
Carol, you had some?
Now, going through our existing, he's not talking.
No, we know that.
He will do
We know
it.
that.
So
Yeah.
right now,
Just what you got today, kind of just make sure everybody understands what you got today.
Yep, that's what, I understand that.
Okay. Sorry, there's a lot of bank lingo in all this stuff, so just please, just ask questions.
I'm married to one, so I kind of know.
Oh, do you?
You're lucky.
Yeah. Well, every farmer should have it.
Okay.
So that's that, and then the bank service snapshot, the next page kind of shows you what services you're using with Bank of the West. This is your current services on your left-hand side and just some recommendations. Again, this is without talking to anybody at the county, this is kind of outside looking in. But from your current services, we can offer everything you're currently using today, which you've got ACH for payments. I've got fraud protection for electronic payments. That's what the ACH blocks, ACH deposit pay is. We're obviously using the branch here for cash depositing, ordering, that kind of thing. Some check scanning going on. There must be a scanner somewhere, probably in the treasurer's office, where she's able to scan checks in for deposit. So we have an earnings credit, kind of a dummy rate. That's most of your structure in one account with an interest bearing setup. Online banking. The only thing I could not see is, are all your funds pledged, collateralized, or insured? And that might be a question for Donna. I can't see that. I don't know if Donna's still on, if she could maybe speak to that, that'd be helpful.
Yes, we now get a monthly report from Bank of the West with all the collateral pledges, and it used to be like we didn't get it monthly, but now I've requested it monthly. So that would be really nice to have it monthly.
So from our recommendations from a merchants bank side, we would add one service, which would be positive pay. I didn't see that, Donna, on the analysis statements from Bank of the West. This is a fraud protection service for checks you write. I would definitely highly recommend that service. And then from a collateralization of funds, we actually are kind of getting out of the collateralization game, and we're moving to a full FDIC insurance product. So all your funds will be fully insured by the FDIC. Does that make sense?
What's the maximum FDIC amount?
Yeah, each bank that you have funds in is $250,000. And we'll go over how we're going to be able to do that, because you're obviously well over.
Yeah,
exceed
yeah,
$250,000.
The next slide will get to what we're going
Okay.
to propose as to how you can insure those deposits.
Then we would recommend some interest earning options for the county. You know, with your balances, there's opportunity to earn some money. That makes sense? I know it's a lot of info, but
Current interest rates, meaning what they are, there's an opportunity to earn some money.
there is definitely.
Yeah,
We're gonna go through that. I'll show you. Yes, very low rate environment, great for if you need a loan, but not so hot if.
Right.
They're tied together.
Yeah, you betcha. Okay, so next slide. So how are we gonna ensure the funds, fully insure your funds? We use a program called Insure Cash Sweep. So what happens is we automatically take your money in it and put it into various banks, 250,000 blocks each one. What does that look like for the county? It looks like you've got full liquid assets all the time. It's like you have a checking account, but we're on the back end, we're insuring it, putting it in a different bank. So you can give us a list of banks you don't want to do business with. We'll keep them off the list, but each dollar will be insured by the FDIC. That's really high overview, but
Funds are put into a pool with a third party that works with many other different network of banks. So they'll actually, some of your funds may go off, but we and some other banks' funds, so that they get to use our 250 for some of theirs. So it's just a pool. It's only a book or a book transaction per se. Your funds don't leave here; they just on paper.
The IC recognizes this from a legitimacy point of view, not a shell game where
No,
you
no.
spread it all out.
Not at all.
Okay.
And we're able
What is
to.
it?
There's a lot of benefits with this. We're able to then provide, instead of pledging, You just have them in these funds, and now you're getting that FDIC protection from the other banks. And this third party then can provide reports saying that, yes, you are, all your funds at FDIC.
The county has one of the accounts, but somebody down.
There are current funds right now. Go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, okay, I just have one question. You know, the state auditors have a little bit of an issue about with the cash sweeping, especially at the end of the month when, you know, there's something to do at the end of the month when the checks might come in and when it's actually covered. Do you have any issues with that with other institutions, with state auditors or with other auditors? How do you handle that, like at the end of the month? When things are, you know, when there's, you know, checks are in and out, and I guess there's just a little bit of an issue with they're just concerned that everything is totally covered with this sweeping. Maybe you can explain that a little better to me.
Well, yeah, so I mean, so there's really two options with this, so you can have a checking account, FDIC insured sweep, or you can just have a money market savings account. All the funds in those that are swept into these ICS accounts are fully insured every day. So yeah, you're right, because money's going to be going in and out of these constantly, right? So one day you might have $1 million, the next day you might have $2 million. It takes it at the end of the day and invest that for you. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, we also suggest maybe are you talking about checks in transit?
Yeah, you know, like deposits and checks and transferred at the end.
Oh, sure.
We're still gonna have you probably set up a target balance account, or where your main operating account might still always have $250 in it. We're not gonna sweep it maybe down 100,000, you might sweep it to 250,000. Because therefore, too, you're still going to get some earnings credit. We need to keep some balances in there. Nick, jump in if I'm wrong.
Well, really what it does is our system looks at what you've got in the account and it ties it to your main operating account, Donna. So even if it says 0 in your account, we know you've got $2 million in this ICS account. So you'll see both of these on our online banking system. You'll be able to see how much money is in all of these accounts. So our system recognizes we know your account's not 0. You've got $2 million in this account. So it automatically transfers the amount of money to cover those checks or debits, or if you've got excess debt deposits, it'll sweep it back to the other account. It's all automated. I don't know if that helps explain that.
So will we get a statement on this ICS sweeping, or is that a separate statement as well, in addition to the actual bank statement?
For the transactions you're talking? Yeah. It's really the sweep is really, you'll see the ins and outs. So you'll get a statement for your operating account, and really probably just record the transfer, the daily transfer in and out. You'll also get a statement for the ICS account as well.
Currently, Donna, I'm not sure exactly how much, but there are funds right now for Houston County in an ICS account. And I'm not sure what they were designated for, but there are funds that are currently in the money market ICS account.
Right, yeah, with the investment there of the 1.5 million or whatever it is, 1.8 million. But we haven't taken any of that money out yet, so it's just staying in there, but.
That's the American Rescue Plan
That's-
dollars.
Yeah, right, yeah. ARP funds.
So those are fully insured. That's what
Mhm.
and your interest.
Right. And then is this a computerized operation that when you write a check, the computer, the brain in the computer programs, it says we'll take here and here and here and here?
Yeah, it's one daily transfer. So if you got 12 checks clearing that day, it's going to take the total amount to cover those checks from that account and transfer it over just to cover this. Yeah.
Right.
That makes
And then the computer decides what bank it's coming out of?
Yes.
I mean, if we're in a dozen,
account.
Yeah.
bank,
Other bank.
Yeah.
it just does it automatically.
It's
The funds are going into a pool. We don't truly even know, I don't know whose funds we're getting, or what bank we're getting funds from, because there's a third party that handles it.
Yeah, like I said,
It's just like I said, it's just a paper transaction.
you can tell us what banks you don't want to do businesses with. We can make sure that your funds don't get invested in those banks.
So how are we supposed to know what banks we don't want to do business?
Yeah.
You talk to a banker.
Yeah. Certainly there's, it depends on the county. They've had some issues with previous things in the past, some,
The question I have, is just within your group, you have several locations. Now, each of your banks would have 250, or is it only within your
Yeah.
parent?
Yeah, the FDIC
The one
works,
chart,
yes, yes,
there's one chart.
That's why you gotta go to different.
that's correct.
All right.
High overview, I know it's a lot of bank lingo, but please, if you have questions, certainly call or email one of us after this, more happy to answer questions. But yeah, the next page would be kind of our proposed structure, so obviously your main operating account, the 1340 account's got the majority of your cash. And what I did was used about a $2 million operating fund for the county to work off. I don't know what you would need to operate on a day-to-day business. I just chose 2 million because it was an easy number to throw on here. We could talk more brass tacks at a different date, at an internal meeting. But again, just for numbers purposes, I did 2 million. And then everything over the 2 million I have in a savings account because it's got a better rate. Makes sense. And then your various accounts, I've got some that will have a sweep. Some of them are very low balances that you probably don't need a sweep on. So we would just adjust how much money is actually at Merchants Bank depending on a conversation with the office. Like, just make sure you're fully insured here and everything else gets swept out. That makes sense. Any questions on what I'm trying to accomplish here?
Are you on the proposed account structure page?
I'm on the proposed, yes, that's how, if you were banking with Merchants Bank over the last year from the bank statements I received, this is how I would have structured it. We'd have a more detailed conversation on how much money and all that stuff, but again, outside looking at it's kind of how I would have structured it.
So when I go down the line, looking at all these accounts that you've got laid out,
Yes, sir.
since $250,000 peg balance earns earnings credit
That's correct.
0.35%. So that's an earnings credit against fees.
Yes, that's what you have with your current bank, correct?
Okay, so that's against fees.
Yeah.
And then and that's only on is that on the full 250 or anything over 250?
250,000 total.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it has to maintain 250.
Yeah, so how I did this was I just did everything over 250,000 in operating, we're gonna sweep to this FDIC insurance program. That way you've got 250,000 at Merchants Bank, that's how you have it here, and then everything else gets swept or around.
But that's only fees. You don't actually earn any.
Yeah, so for that 250,000 would be what you've got today, the earnings
Similar
credits
to what
fund,
I've got.
exactly, and then everything else on here, you're gonna earn interest on.
Okay. So when I look at the airport account, the zero peg balance sweep
Yeah.
earns interest at 16%.
That's correct.
0.16%,
Yeah,
not
beautiful, isn't it?
16%.
Yeah.
I like that first one.
Yeah.
Put the point in the right
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
But you don't need, anything over zero is gonna have the
It's
16.
gonna earn interest and it's gonna be
Right.
fully insured,
Right.
yes.
The ICS money market earns interest at 50.5%.
The savings, yeah, the money market. correct,
On the
yeah.
money
So
market.
that's kind of more idle money that doesn't need
Right.
to be used for transactions. So
Credit
if you
card
pick-
fund, I understand.
yeah, in the county revenue account, the 2306, that had $200,000 balance in it every month that I had. So, if there wasn't transactions, I was gonna throw that. Public market account.
So I do have a question, and you
Yes.
probably already said this, I'm sorry. Okay, once, you got the earnings credit, like saying the 1340, and then once it gets over 1 million, the next 1,750,000, you get 0.16. And then the excess funds, you get 0.50. So you just keep getting the earnings credit, you never, ever get interest? I mean, you don't get interest.
Yeah, the only earnings credits you're gonna get down is on the operating 1340 account with the 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna sweep, again, this is just basic numbers here, but we'd adjust this appropriately, but
Right.
anything over 250, we would automatically sweep to this ICS checking account. And I'm using $2 million as operating cash for the county. Again, that's just the number I threw out there. And so anything over 2 million, would be housed in this money market, but this would be something you'd have to monitor, Donna. So you'd have to transfer, a lot of the counties, what they'll do is they'll run payroll or AP once a week, so they're trying to, they know what their AP run is at the end of the week, and they know how much they have to have in their main account to cover those. So if you're running a kind of a deficit off against that 2 million, you just transfer money from that money market to the checking account or vice versa. If you got excess money, you can transfer it. Typically, again, down to once a week, but however you want to operate, it's totally up to you.
Is that a bookkeeping nightmare?
There's an extra transaction in there, yes. No, I would say nightmare. No, not a nightmare, just an extra transaction there. Yeah.
So I would have to transfer that myself. It wouldn't automatically. I would have to transfer it.
Into that money market account. Yeah, and the reason I have this separate money market account is because it earns better interest. Yeah, so if you really want to maximize your balances, that's what we're recommending, because you've got that extra account that's, you
Okay.
have to manually monitor.
Oh, yeah, if you want to earn interest, you're going to have to manage it and do that. I mean, that's going to take some effort.
A little bit, yeah. But like I said, most of the counties, it's mostly a weekly kind of looks, they know what their AP run, what the AR run is for the next week. Appropriately adjust.
But it's all, excuse me, it's all would be automatic. I mean, you could just do it on the computer. You wouldn't have to come over and sign anything or.
Right, yeah, if the transfer would be all online, Donna, you would just have to transfer yourself, yeah, from the money market. Everything else is automated, all the sweeps are automated, it's just the separate money, the two money market accounts I'm suggesting would be better.
I don't know if it was clear. I mean, we have an ICS checking account and we have an ICS money market account.
Yeah.
We have two different ones.
Okay.
He's keeping 2 million in the ICS checking. Anytime your excess funds over that, whenever you, maybe real estate taxes are coming in and you're up around the 8 million, well, maybe that's when you're gonna keep some, the excess over in that one.
Okay. I think I understand it completely.
Yeah, Donna, we would have, obviously more of a in-person visit with you, try to really understand your process, to really hone in on numbers, but yeah, this is really high. So I know it's a lot of information, so.
So basically on $2 million, if we had $2 million in this ICS for a period of a year, that's $100,000.
On the money market, you mean?
Yeah, I'm not on that.
Yeah.
Money market thing on ICS money market.
Well, but we're proposing that you keep that money in the ICS checking, so it's more liquid. So it can be coming in and out. Money markets have a little bit more, not as much flexibility on them. You can't make as many transfers on them on a month-to-month basis. What is the non-legend? 6 per month.
6 per month.
Yes, so that's why we would keep, that's why he's using the $2 million to keep in the checking account, so that you have that liquidity. Checking accounts, you can be running as many running as many transactions as you want.
Yeah.
The money market is to be used when you have excess funds, you know you're gonna have them for a month, maybe 2 months or longer. Move it in there, leave it in there, okay, now 2 months later, we need that, move it out. But you can only do 6 transactions per month.
Well, this would cover payroll. Another, I'm just thinking outside the box here a little bit. When taxes come in the spring and fall, we have excesses
Mhm.
for a short period of time. And then when we start getting into the lean times, we can tap it up to 6 times a month. I would say we only need to tap it maybe a couple of times a month around payroll time, which is our biggest expense each month. So again, this is going to be a little bit extra work, but it's also an extra benefit is what I'm looking at.
Well, it seems like 6 is enough.
Yeah,
I think.
6 would be plenty. I mean,
1 a week. would be-
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, most of them do a weekly kind of looks. They know what their cash flow is gonna be for the next week,
Okay.
level their AP run.
And we're gonna be able, he's got in 2 more slides, I think, really show you based on your actual activity. Find out with this proposed structure, what kind of fees you would have accrued or had offset, and what kind of interest you would get. So we'll be getting into that to really show you what kind of earnings we think, earnings and interest.
So just trying to kind of show you what we would have done, and then put some numbers here, because that's what kind of puts it, brings it all home. But so that first slide is the Bank of the West structure and what actually happened for those months I received statements for. So see on the left-hand side is your earnings credit, what you earned to offset fees. That second line is the bank fee, that's actual charge, they charge the county. And then again, what they'll do is take the earnings credit less the bank fees, and if the earnings credit is higher than the bank fees, your out-of-pocket fee is what that third line is. So there definitely were months where that earnings credit was higher, so you didn't see a fee come out of the bank account. And there was other months that earnings credit was lower than the bank fee. So you were actually physically charged that amount out of the operating account. So over that 1 year span of time, there was a $1,379.49 fee taken out of the bank account. Again, there was one account that you earn interest on, that's that next line, right? Real small, 50 cents a month, you know? So the net benefit of Bank of the West, what happened was you ended up paying Bank of the West $1,371.85 to bank there over this period. Does that make sense? Okay.
But we didn't actually, right, Donna, they waived fees.
Right, they did refund it. We didn't actually pay that, but
Right, they always
that,
waive.
that's what it would have cost us.
Okay, so I did see some fee waivers on some of the accounts, but I didn't see the fee come out of the operating account down, but maybe they reimbursed you at some other point down.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Okay, so we could say the net benefit could have been $7. They paid you $7.64 to bank there, if those were all waived.
Mhm.
So with our structure that we kind of discussed, how we would have banked you, this is what would have happened if over the last year, if you banked with us. So that earnings credit is much smaller, right? So we kind of discussed that. You don't want to earn earnings credit on the $250,000. So there's small earnings credit there. The bank fee, now there's one kind of main thing you need to realize is our bank fee structure is much smaller, cheaper than a bigger bank. So you can see our bank line is going to run between 400 to 600 or 800 versus the $1,000 to $3,000 fee structure that Bank of the West has. So what would have happened during that period of time? We would have charged you $6,803.30. That would have physically been taken out of the county's operating account. But with these ICS programs, we would have paid you interest on those funds. Based off the structure I put together, we would have paid you $33,000 to bank with Purchase Bank during that period. And of course, the net benefit would be a $26,000 benefit to the county. So Purchase Bank, in a sense, would have paid you $26,000 over this year span to bank with us. Make sense?
This is based on how much deposited?
Yeah, each month was different.
Is there an average or something?
This is I physically went for each month. I have bank statements for each month, and this is physically based off what your balances were.
Okay, so those balances varied.
Every
Okay.
month.
All
Yes,
right.
yes, sir.
Those are actual balances that.
Your actual balance.
Yes, so this is exactly what we would have charged you, what we would have paid you during that same exact span of time, using the same services that you were used at Bank of the West as well.
And that's using that structure that 2 million would have been kept in the excess checking, and yet the excess would have been in one bucket, getting a little bit larger interest rate.
Sure. You use the 0.16 and the 0.5
That's correct.
as it balanced through the.
Exactly.
The year.
Each account. Yes, sir. And then you have to also realize this isn't a low rate environment. Right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
when rates start to increase, if they ever do, this net benefit's gonna just keep getting bigger for the county. So this is really low rate environment. It's still I think quite a nice benefit to the county. As rates start to increase, there's a program already built in and that rate will increase as well.
Okay, so the net amount column, that is based, or I should say the interest earned column, that's based on the fact that if I would have transferred the excess amount over to the money market when the appropriate times, that's how much money we would have earned.
That's correct, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Most of your accounts are gonna earn about 0.16 because they're in that checking account sweep, and then that money market account's got the better rates. So again, we just threw some basic numbers on here, we'd have to kind of pin that down a little bit, what do you need for operating cash, you know, is it $1 million? I mean, because if it's less, then you're gonna earn more, if you need more for operating cash, obviously this net benefit's gonna be a little bit less too, but this is again, outside looking in without a conversation.
Yeah, to get this, there'd be some management here.
A little
So,
bit,
yep.
yes, sir.
Actually, back in the day when we did get interest at Bank of the West, I did this every single week. So I'm used to doing this because when we did get interest, I would transfer from our money market like at least once a week, probably a couple times a week when it was tax time. Mhm. So it's
So Donna, when you said at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, was that taking it out of money market or putting it into money market? Or is that a combination?
combination. It depends on what time of year it was, but during tax time, you know, the money comes in so quickly. And I wanted to get it out of there. So I transfer quite often but I wouldn't, you know, and that obviously if I could only do 6 transfers, I wouldn't do it as often, but I did it often when I was able to get interest.
I guess that was my question. On the 6 times a month, is that in and out or just out?
Just out. You can put as much.
You can
money
put it in
you
as
want.
many times as you want, but you can
Right.
only take it out 6 times. All right.
Federal law, whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it
I'm just,
is.
you know,
They
I understand the
demand
6
it.
times.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
basically it was like Dewey was right. I mean, during payroll time, during payroll and during commissioners warrants, that's when you need to take the money out. But I could, I can plan ahead for that. So that's fine.
Donna, currently, where are we having monies deposited?
Bank of the West in Caledonia here.
That's
Yeah,
our
the one
main
right
one for,
That's the only one.
well, we have.
The
money
daily,
in
the
banks,
daily money, it
But
goes
this
to Bank
is-
of the West.
Right.
I have investment money, like I have tax money at merchants right now, and then of course the rescue funds, and then I have investments at Eitzen Bank. And with my brokers.
You did this, you had just Bank of the West, or did you know the bank,
Yes.
the Eitzen Bank
I
too?
just said Bank of the West bank statements, the 9 bank account bank statements I
So
received.
this doesn't take into consideration what's at Eitzen.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's all investments. I didn't, share any of that, because that varies so much too. So this is the daily deposits.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say also put out there from a partnership standpoint, how we operate is we will work with Donna, at least, and we always sit down at least annually, but usually something that, county this size, we would come out at least twice a year down and just make sure everything's working, because things are constantly changing. In your world, our world, rates are changing, so we like to have that constant sit down communication. Of course, we're always open, to call, us throughout that time, but we do like to sit with you. Because things are changing rapidly right now.
Necessarily pretty good.
Realize I'm asking, go ahead.
I do
Go ahead,
have
Don.
another question. Okay, so when the out-of-pocket fee, the 6,803, does that come out of the checking account then?
Yeah, so so typically we would build the operating account.
Uh-huh.
You can build an account down if you want, but that would electronically come out of your bank account each month. So you will see that on your expense line, right? So for that year period, you would have seen a bank fee of $6,803.30 on the expense line. And your interest, income would have pay up. So you just gotta make sure you understand there's 2 kind of factors going on with this structure.
Okay,
And I'm just gonna add too, if you kind of look at the earnings credit for Merchants Bank and Bank of the West, the reason why they have much larger earnings credit is because all of the funds stay in the operating account for the most part. Transferring it over to another account, earn interest. We're only gonna keep you at around that 250. Your FDIC is insured now for that 250. That's why you're gonna minimize, or you're not gonna earn as much earnings credit to offset other things. But you're gonna be putting it into an ICS checking or an ICS money market, to give you greater interest.
in case of not saying that this happens, but if you were to get below down to zero and then some, is there fees? I mean, you guys charge for all that too, like overdraft or whatever you want to call it, or lack of balance or?
What happens if you go negative? Matt here gets the call. So,
And then we're gonna say, please
Yeah,
forgive us,
exactly.
you know?
So he'll work with Don or whoever to, hey,
Yes, I'm gonna say it's probably highly unlikely to hit that zero or negative.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah,
Yeah, and we have other products too, if that, to cover,
to kick in,
yes, we
Yeah.
have other products that will kick in to help you if that is ever.
right, okay.
so communication's always best. If you know that you're gonna run a deficit, just get over that and work with it.
Now, I know I'm asking you guys this, but do you feel that your systems, are user friendly as far as online? Do you feel that you have a good product that people, for everybody to use? I mean, is there like a review thing that we can look at to see what kind of a performance review from your customers that we can look at?
Yeah, we can provide a snapshot of what it looks like. We can also give you some references to it if you want to talk to somebody.
Sure.
We have some references right here in Gallo that uses our commercial banking, online commercial banking that also use the ICS checking account and money.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, if we could.
With things as they are these days on computers and security, and we have a third party involved, how secure are things where somebody comes in and finds the code or whatever and they can tap into? I know we're protected up to 250 by the FDIC, but what if?
You're talking about the ICS stuff?
Mhm.
Yeah, and they have to sign agreements with us. We sign, you're gonna sign agreements, they're gonna sign agreements. There's a lot of different agreements in place to cover that. But too, that's where a couple of things, if I'm right, where he's talking about positive pay and you have the ACH filters, you're gonna secure yourself from the fraud. You're talking fraud, right?
Yeah, where's someone hacks it and comes in, you know, they've hacked some pretty big outfits in the country this year, so I just, and all I know is I push a button on this thing and something comes up, that's all I know about it.
Yeah, we always recommend dual control. So, and when you're sending out an ACH payment, somebody can upload the file into our system, but somebody else has to approve in the county. Because even if you've got all your security on your system, they might be able to hack into one, but you still need an extra person within the county to approve it before the payments go out. So yes, you're right. There's a lot of that going on right now. There's different ways to get into your system. We're going to only be as good as your security here at the county. So,
I cringe every year when we do our budget time because of the amount that we spend on security for our bank.
Mhm.
Because keeping our customers secure and their privacy intact is a big reputational risk for us. We don't take that lightly. I'm also going to have and Marcus here to talk a little bit about our credit card product. That's to provide credit cards to different departments. That's another.
Yeah, Merchants Bank does provide a commercial purchasing credit card product. I believe you have credit cards with through Bank of the West, is it right now, or do you know who, is it through them or is it through a third party through them? It is Bank of the West, okay. So the credit card program at Merchants Bank does offer two types of credit cards. It is regular business credit card and a rewards credit card. And we do have Prime Plus 4 and Prime Plus 7 for purchases and cash advances on those. Of course, most businesses pay their cards off in full each month, so the rate really doesn't matter to you. Although with the rates so low right now, they are really good rates on the credit cards. With this product, we do have an online banking product called Easy Business Card Management, where an admin can go out and handle all credit cards that are set up all in one spot. So it's not signing in and going into each individual card account, having to do payments and statements individually. We have it set up so it can pull through all accounts at once. You can go out and make payments all at once on the cards if you want, all through that online system. And we do have a credit card department right in Winona where we can help manage that site and the credit cards themselves. So if there's any kind of question ever with the credit cards, we are there Monday through Friday to help with that. So it isn't calling an 800 number or anything like that to get service with the credit cards. We do manage that in-house. It is our credit card product. So we do have that capability. We have the capability of handling the online site. So if any admin or users ever get locked out or need help with that, we can assist with that as well. And then as long as there is a payment account at Merchants Bank, we can handle payments as well. So there's a lot of times we have businesses that call us up and need a payment done right away. And they just don't have time to go out on the online. We can pull that for them and make the payment right there. And then it's done for them. The online system does allow the admins to make adjustments, changes to the credit card themselves in there, and requests then get sent to us and we handle it on our side. They can email us or again call us. So we try to make it as simple as possible to manage these cards so there's no downtime or anything with the credit cards when the card holders are trying to use them. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, do you have any questions on the credit cards? I mean, is there certain things with your current credit cards that you don't like?
Much works the way you're.
Pretty much works the way we do, okay.
I'm looking at the fees here. Donna, how much do we utilize or use per month? Yes, Carol?
Yeah,
It would have to be less than $10,000 typically.
Okay.
Yeah, and the fees you see there, of course, we can always waive those. Those are negotiable. And those are just what we have set there, but we do waive fees for businesses.
Okay, I saw $25 and $45
Yeah.
fees. That's what I was looking. Okay.
We're bringing this to the county's attention with the understanding, I mean, with the whole too with the deposit.
Right.
Yeah, just providing all the different services that we can show them.
These are kind of standardized. Piece of business through your bank, another bank or whatever, it's basically the same thing.
It is, like Matt said, it would be the basic if other business was brought to Merchants Bank, it'd be handy to have the credit cards at the same
Yep.
place. Yes.
Transferring money from here over there to pay your
Right.
credit card.
Correct. Any other questions?
That was the easy one.
I guess I'd just like to add to, with our 3 different locations that we have, the funds that, if you were to bring deposits to Merchants Bank, we're gonna use those deposits then to do loans to residents of Springboro, Houston, Caledonia. We're also gonna do ag and commercial loans to our businesses that are paying taxes back to the county. Those funds are gonna be used here within the county to make more loans and help our communities thrive. So, also, the other thing I want to add too is, go ahead.
Don't you finish what you're saying.
Is that one of the really nice things that I want to add about Merchants Bank, and this is kind of maybe the personal level, but I own a portion of the bank. We have a lease out that owns 18% of Merchants Bank. So our employees are vested in doing the best for our customers so that Merchants Bank can do very well. So that's another advantage I like to add for Merchants Bank then too.
Just gonna ask Andrew if he had anything to add, because he sits back in the corner and nobody talks.
His head's going up and down. and this and that.
We're passionate about southeastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Appreciate the opportunity to get in front of you and hopefully show we have the opportunity to start our board business. So thank you for your time today.
Yeah.
Some of your questions earlier about the products and services, we have invested an awful lot into not only technology, but also some of these add-on systems to make sure our toolbox on the business and municipality side can keep anybody out there. We utilize large vendors. There's about 2 or 3 very large ones that are dominant in the industry throughout the world. We're with one of those, and they're there to help community banks thrive and compete and give the services that our customers demand. So we're very passionate about making sure we always add that toolbox to keep it aggressive and bring on people who, this is what they do 40 hours a week. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I would assume, you know, nothing's perfect, so you do run into some hiccups, so you'd like to correct things and fix things to make them run more smoothly. So.
So Andrew's my boss, so that's why I got him on an escalation. If you can't get a hold of us, he's the guy.
Business is like life, you know, there are some bumps that come in the road, it's how we handle it. So to your point, yes, sometimes bumps do come up. We're gonna roll the sleeves and we have to understand what caused it and make things right. And we're here to serve and we don't get to see another day unless we take care of our customers. So thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay, questions? For him?
Got any other questions?
Business cards.
Not right now. I'm still soaking it all in.
Yeah, a lot of information.
I'll probably call Manon or something if I have some questions or Matt. Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do know how to get a hold of you. Okay.
My card too.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
That's for your time.
Thank you.
How you doing, Bob?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we see this in private office? You've been there.
Do they anymore, do you? You still do that?
I'm doing
Oh, yeah?
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Oh, really? Okay.
it. I got Lucas and Keller going.
Okay.
All right, so moving on. Discussion items. As far as board updates. Commissioner reports. Biggest update right now is that Greg and I are working with Carol as far as the budget is concerned. We'll have lots to talk about at the work group session next week. Right now, we've got the initial budget information from everybody. One thing I asked Carol to do is change the increase as far as payroll from a budgetary point of view. Trying to be a little more realistic on what we're going to be looking at, especially from the point of view that what we got to put together by the end of the month is a tentative budget.
Preliminary.
And we have preliminary by the end of the last meeting of the month, right?
Right.
Last week
Last
of
week in
September, we set
September.
our preliminary.
Yeah. So I'd rather be on the high side and come down than
Which
Well,
find
that's
out
the way
that
it
we're
works.
short.
This is what we
That's right.
usually
So
do. Yeah.
I asked her to increase that for budgetary purposes, and then we'll deal with it after the fact, instead of getting shorted at the end of the year.
Sounds good.
That'll be a topic of conversation for next week. So I do have a lot of people that have given thoughts to the American Rescue Plan dollars and what they would like to see it used for as far as different businesses and different accounts in the county. So
Good.
that'll be also a topic of discussion. I'll put together a list and then I'll see if I can send it to you before the meeting of
That'd be
what I've been
good.
talked to about. Okay.
That would be good.
Have we got a finalized guidelines from the feds yet on that?
It keeps rolling.
Any-
Well, it's pretty pretty much, the interim and final rule was basically approved and they have the frequently asked questions, which kind of show you how things might stretch a little bit from the exact wording of the interim rule.
But the one thing that Carol has brought up that we have to be aware of is that because these ARP money dollars are federal, when we do something, we have to get multiple bids. And if we're going to have a project that's bid out, it's got to meet the federal guides.
So,
So it's white sheet dollars and stuff. We can't use,
so we can't put it towards a specific project.
we can. But
Then you gotta get it.
as an example, the parking lot to the west side. What our staff in the highway department doesn't do, we have to bid, put out for bids, and it has to meet the federal payroll requirements. Not what our local people are paying, it's gotta meet the fed requirements.
Okay.
Just like we're bidding out a highway project. So make it a little more expensive on some of the projects that we talk about. That's not the case if I understand it, Carol, correctly, if we were to allocate some money to the, let's say, the soil and water districts, the watersheds. They use the money and we don't have anything to say about it after we've allocated it.
As long as you're not saying, well, we're giving you this much money for this project, it has to be more of a neutral kind of
Yep.
distribution.
Right.
Yep. And that's,
Like the CARES money, you could give so much per pupil.
Yep.
So it's just like the watershed district, maybe it's so much per whatever it covers, rather than saying, well, we're gonna build this.
yeah, we're not gonna get project specific. We're just gonna give an allocation.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they have to do the reporting of what they used.
Well,
it
then
for.
they have to do it because they have to do it anyway, what they spend the
Okay.
money on.
Yeah.
So,
They would have their audit.
Yep.
of the fund.
Mhm.
And that still has to have that their prevailing wage stuff on it.
no, not if we don't get specific on a project like this.
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah.
So we can give 100,000 and they can use that at multiple projects, correct? Is that
Right.
the way we want to do it? I
Right.
think that'd be the best way.
Right.
Okay.
But to bring Carol, to bring forward Dewey's question, if we, as Greg said, gave $100,000 to a watershed, when they do a watershed project, they don't have to follow the,
It's not a federal project.
Okay.
Money can't cross.
okay.
Okay.
We receive federal money, we appropriate.
But like for the parking lot, we received the federal money and we're gonna use.
We're
it
using
for-
it. So
Well,
we use it.
It's our use.
Mhm.
In other words, at our direction.
Anything-
Watershed is at their direction. Is that kind of, to make it simple for this old boy?
I feel like the watershed would be separate, and I think the county would be separate, right, Bob? Right?
Don't oversee what they do with it. As long as we don't know the specific projects.
Okay, all right, that's, I just needed to have that clear in my mind.
So I'll put my list together and I'll
Good.
try and figure out how to email and forward all of you guys. All right, so moving forward then to commissioner reports. I'll look to Greg first. I always look to Dewey first. We'll go the other way this time.
Let's see, last week we had a county shop meeting, right? Yeah, it was Friday, right, Eric?
Yep.
Everything's going good, budget wise, I think we got over 100 grand or better in our contingency yet.
Yeah, we're under the budget on the contingency part of it and that's looking good,
Oh,
so.
that's good.
And we're all within budget. As of, we're like 50% through now, so
Mhm.
he doesn't foresee any big major hiccups. And as far as the contingency part of it, they got a couple hiccups, they got it in there, but we're still under the contingency, so we're doing good there, so. And I don't know if you toured it yet, Greg, or
What's that?
have you toured the building?
Oh, not the building, but I've been around it, I drive in there once in a while, look it all over, and that they said they were starting the sheet rocking the office this week, and Justin thought they started today.
Yep.
I wasn't sure.
It'll take shape then, when we start seeing sheet rock go up, it
Mhm.
makes a big difference.
And I think they got most of the furniture all figured in already and.
Yeah, they got it figured in. It hasn't come before the board yet, but waiting on the fuel systems bid quotes, so.
Couple inspectors waiting on.
Okay, good.
Pretty good on that part.
I really appreciate Eric's report that we get from the Weezers each week too.
Yeah, the Weezer updates, yeah.
That's a nice informative thing.
And then I took in that dam, Crooked Creek watershed.
Oh, did you go on tour of it?
Yeah, I went up and we watched the videos and we had pizza and then we went down there and looked at it. It's just unbelievable, just massive. I don't know how many dollars they got in there. I don't know what it is, but it's just, it holds like 1,000 acres. It will drain 1,000 acres and hold all that water right there in the spot. Huge. I mean, I bet if I was 50 feet to the top, if not more, maybe 60. I don't know if I could get up there. So, and I got a big culvert, 5-foot culvert that goes through the bottom. So it's completely, it will end up draining eventually all the way down.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's not a dam, it's not a dam or a pond, it's a dry, yep,
they call it a retaining dam.
retaining, yeah,
So it retains the water.
Retention pond.
slows the water up.
But then they got a great big huge waterway running all the way down to the gravel road and I mean, it's quite an improvement. I have to believe Freeburg's probably safe now.
Safer.
Yeah, not safer. But if you ever get a chance, that road is open and if it ain't muddy, you can drive right up in there with your car or your pickup.
What's the road to get to it?
It's called Whitetail Drive. That's where it's on. And you go on Whitetail Drive off across our new bridge, take a right. And then you go up there where you'll see a little campground up in there. You just drive right up in there, go past the campground. And it's up in there about a half a mile.
Is that private property?
Gary Klinsky has a sign that says anybody that wants to see the dam, you go right up and look at it.
Okay,
That's what he told me. So
okay.
if anybody from the commissioners or anybody wants to come down and look at it, you just drive up there and take a look at it. Because that's quite an impressive thing.
I know Dave told me that they had some cost overrun on that because when they're during construction, they ran into a spring. So they had to get some more rock. Well, there is a little overrun on that project.
Yeah, I think they had to put an extra 10 ton or
Yeah.
25 ton of rip in that hole
Yeah.
to fill it in or something.
Okay.
And it's the SEMCAC meeting last night went pretty good. Everything's going good there. I don't know how much money we're gonna give them. I didn't say anything about that, because I don't have any clue.
I got a listing from them of what they're talking about. Some we could qualify, some we can't.
We do give them appropriation also in our budget. Already.
And they're getting 3 checks for the next 3 years from the American Rescue Plan for 200 something.
So come again with that?
They're getting a check for the next 3 years, one every year for 250,000 for SEMCAC through the American Rescue Plan.
Each year? Okay.
That's what I was told. So,
We should take that under consideration too.
well, I mean, we were talking about giving them money, but it sounds like they're gonna have.
They're
plenty
gonna
the
be
way it
getting
is.
money already, yes.
I mean, maybe we should fix up our little thing in town here. I would be not against putting in some money into that. But I mean, I don't think we need to pile a lot in there if we're gonna get all that.
Is that the extent of your report?
Yeah, I think so. But if I have something, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Well, you're next.
I had, well, we had 3 negotiation meetings, 2 of them which got canceled on us, but the first one we had last Thursday, and it really helped. I told Eric that to have that board consensus, giving us a little direction to work with, and it actually, it helped. We presented the board's view as a board unified, and they're taking it back to their membership to talk about. the one meeting we did have, so. And the other two were, we won't go there. They were, Eric and I both.
We
applied for
both
the
showed up
meeting
and
we
they were
going to
canceled.
there. So that was a problem, not really a problem. It was just an incident. I had EMS on last Thursday, and Don, of course, our director, is very pleased to come talk to us if we want to hear a full report from him of all the services they do for us. I told him at this point we were okay with him not doing a presentation, but let him know if we change our mind. Same with workforce development. Our director there, Jenny, is very, very good, and she would be glad to come give a perspective on workforce development in Houston County and what all they do for us. Big discussion at workforce, of course, was Mike on, going out and how they're preparing to help the people and what they can do. And it was really, everybody was very, very frustrated to hear what we're going through here. But, so those were my two main meetings. This was a good presentation with merchants this morning, but I think we should also have Bank of the West give us their perspective too.
We should have one from Heights too.
And I said, if we're considering changing, we should hear all three.
About the bank where your wife works, they interested in it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm staying out of that one.
Well, I think the two we do have, we should have.
But how does this work? Is this a bid deal, or is this is something we can just choose, or, what are the guidelines for that? I don't know.
What is the guidelines, Carol? Do you have any? Or Donna?
It doesn't,
We've never done this before, but we've got ESP banking coming. They haven't set up a time yet, and also Bank of the West will come with a presentation as well. As far as the Bremer Bank goes, I think I talked to Bob about this one night after a meeting. The only problem with that would be, commissioners, is we have daily cash deposits, and someone would have to run down to the Bremer Bank with the cash deposits. And it really wouldn't be very efficient for the county as far as that goes. So that's why I don't think Bremer is would be a good fit at this time because of that reason. And we go to the Bank of the West every day with cash deposits. Otherwise, we'd have to keep it here,
That's why I'm saying it would have to stay within the Caledonia
Right, proximity.
city.
Mhm.
well, unless they provided some option for us.
Right.
But there's, it's pretty
Yeah.
difficult in that respect.
I think we should hear all three banks from town.
Yeah, and we will get those, they've been notified. And I've spoken with Nathan, Nathan Worm from Eitzen, and he definitely is interested in giving us a bid. So he's working on it right now. And Bank of the West is as well, but they were kind of wondering what they should present because, so I told them, I said, I'd wait till after today and just kind of give them an idea what merchants present, so they could give the same kind of presentation.
Okay. And then eventually it'll be a board decision whether we want to change banks based on all the information. Okay.
We'd have to summarize the information and the fees that they're going to charge us and,
Right.
if it ends up being, I think what they're giving us is like a bid. So I think we're covered on that, but just to analyze the service that they'll have and
Show us.
make sure it goes along with how we do our deposits and stuff.
Right.
Donna?
We just have to make sure that the presentations are apples to apples, so that
Yeah,
we're looking at everybody the same.
Yeah.
that's exactly right. I think agree.
It's the only way we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that summarizes my meetings.
Okay. My perspective, I've been to the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health meeting the other day. They've got a project that they're looking at putting together and trying to increase the usage of the building that they bought over on Sarnia Street as far as meeting space and confidentiality spaces and whatnot. So they got a project they're looking to get funding from different sources. They might make a request to the county to use a little bit of ARP money from all the counties they serve to help create a matching fund to get this done with their providers. Then the other day was the Wildcat Lottery. Listened to that. That went actually fairly well. And initially it was, I mean, people are upset that, you know, some have been there for 17 years and felt that they should have a preference opportunity, but we didn't do that. Because that's not the way it's set up, and why haven't we had the lottery in the past years when we're supposed to have had it, and, you know, questions like that. And why we didn't do it in the past, that's predecessor board, so that has nothing to do with us. We're trying to satisfy the requirements of the Corps of Engineers. They want everybody to have an opportunity. So once we got past that, and we did the lottery, it seemed to go pretty well. Pulled their name. Some people were really happy because they were early. The people that were later on didn't gross too bad, but it went, I thought, pretty smooth once we went into the lottery part of it.
Plus they have the opportunity to trade too.
Yep. They've got 2 weeks to trade, and then there's 3 open spots. Have we had people come in to get those 3 open spots?
One spot is taken, and there was one request for a trade so far where the other one didn't want to trade, so.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's personal choice that way.
I got down the line a little bit late, but it was by the time they were just starting to draw when I got on. So
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to hear the.
It was pretty hard to hear on there, wasn't it, Dewey? I was watching, but I couldn't hear. Everybody was talking and drawing numbers and names and.
Yesterday, yesterday I listened to the AMC County Engineers presentation as far as highway use and highway funding and whatnot. They're not overly optimistic with regard to gas taxes in the future as far as that's concerned, but how they're going to redo the financing is an issue, I guess. And yesterday, Greg and I met with a number of departments with regard to budget, the big one being Health and Human Services and their needs. A lively discussion next Tuesday. I think we may have that.
Back to lunch.
Yeah. Because we went right through lunch yesterday. Keep on going. And then this afternoon, I have the County Justice Center meeting with regard to that. Next Monday, I want to just remind you, next Monday, the AMC coffee through Heather Bandine from the AMC office deals with feedlot. And they're going to, the presentation is going to deal with feedlot. And
That's at 9 a.m., wasn't it?
10 o'clock,
10 o'clock.
10 till 11. But the feedlot administration is going to be there, and that might be a,
How can I get out of there? Just gotta go in.
go to AMC, get a hold of Heather Bandine, and she can send you the invite to do that.
What time is it at?
10 o'clock
Next Monday.
next month. Zoom.
Oh, I did have a WinLAC meeting too, which I missed most of because of, I was trying to get to a negotiations meeting. Anyway, they are gonna have their first public hearings next Monday, the 20th, from 5:30 to 8 up at the Towel Center in Winona. I don't know if you've been there before, but it's a big center that the government uses for presentations.
Town Center, yeah.
Towel, TAU.
Set up the
Used to have
campus.
township meetings there.
It's on the campus, yeah. It's easy to find actually, but
On the Winona State Campus.
mhm. I think they're also going to try and record it and Zoom it. So when I get the information on that, I can let everybody know if you want to listen into the presentation part anyway.
Sure.
So,
That's everything I got. Greg, your turn. Or no, Eric, your turn. I'm looking the wrong way. Sorry.
Well, like Greg said, we had our highway department meeting and I kind of went over that. We're staying within budget and everything, so. I took a tour of it, seeing as how my meeting was canceled last Friday, and took a tour of it. And it's coming along real well. They've thought of all the scenarios, and I mean, it looks big when you get in there, but boy, when you start putting all the trucks and graders in there and equipment, it's gonna fill up, so. It's taking shape, so it's looking pretty good. As far as anything else, I didn't have any other committee meetings, but I just wanted to make a note that the recent passing of John Dewey, he used to work for the county, worked for the county for 40 years. He was recently passed, so it's some sad news. And just wanted to wish Deb, give her our condolences. So that's all I got.
With regard to your report on the building unit, I had a tour out there too. The garage part of it is, because we expanded to take in the cold storage. But it's really quite nice, because if we ever have any expansion township wise or anything else, we've got the room to do something with that.
Well, yeah, I'm
Nice
sure,
that
I'm
way.
sure it'll be filled up. I mean, they got a lot of equipment to put away, keep out of the weather, so.
There'd be something sitting out. We won't get it all in there, I bet, just the way it is between all of them. If they bring the stuff that we want to get in there, it's gonna be full.
The only thing I noticed is we're gonna have some cleaning issues, because the pigeons do like to sit on the rafters. Dump on the floor.
Gotta keep the door shut.
Keep the
Keep
door
the door
shut.
shut. If they keep the door shut, we should be okay.
There is some water issues, concerns that Brian's he's aware of, that he wants to make darn sure that on the front of it, because it's lower from the street, so he'd like to see another storm sewer put in front of there, but Weezer said, let's start, after we get everything done and shape things up, maybe we can get that water to run to where the grates are now, so we'll just see how, play that by ear and see how that goes, but it sounded like by December, they're gonna be able to move into the office area, and then that's when they'll take down the old highway shop, so. One thing we gotta keep in mind, it just think about it is signage, what we're thinking about for, if you want a sign of Houston County on the shed itself, on the shop itself, or do you want a stone or a sign out by the street designating, Houston County Highway Shop, think about that.
There is a drainage plan for that, is there?
Yeah, there's a drainage plan. He's just a little concerned about the water coming in that first big garage door facing the street there, so.
On the shed part,
On the big, the
storage shed,
storage part.
door.
This is our French drains there?
There's a storm sewer off to this side and over here.
But
Nothing in the
doors.
front, yeah. But they're thinking they could get that slope so it'll get there.
Okay.
But he's just watching that real close like. So.
The drive in and out of the garage is east and west, is it not? So which north?
No, it's north and south.
Of the storage shed, you're talking about wood.
Or storage, okay.
North and south is the,
Where you park your equipment.
yeah,
That's north and south?
yeah.
God, I thought it was from east and west.
No, east and west is the other,
The main shop
I
doors.
thought
are
they
on
went in
the-
alongside the building and then came in from the fairground side, yeah.
no. Well,
I'm turned around then.
there's no door there, no. It's just two doors on each end of north and south, yeah. And then there's a door from the machine shop, the mechanic
west.
shop to get into there too,
Mhm.
on the third stall.
Was sworn to directionally impaired, okay.
No, but you're thinking of the main, one coming off of Washington Street is on the north end of the building. That's the one, that one. But there's also some that face the west side too, doesn't it, towards trailer parks and doors there?
Yep,
That's what.
That's
I'm-
that's the mechanic shop.
That's the mechanic shop. Well, that's what they call that.
Yeah.
Workshop.
It's a 3-stall mechanic shop with the
Right.
overhead crane.
So, yeah, it's north-south is the main entrance and on the west side is the other. East side has no.
And the main entrance to the office building is on the north side.
Correct. Yep.
The washing place, that's on the west side. That door goes out the east, right?
Sorry, I'm just confused. That's all.
Don't feel bad. You get that way with me?
Do we?
Not much going on. I just, one thing out here in the parking lot, I was coming in this morning. Coming off the blacktop onto the sidewalk, which is on Washington Street side, there's a big gap there, you know, somebody's in a wheelchair or not watching can trip on it. But maybe we should get that to Brian's attention. Noticed that this morning. I don't normally come that way, but when the parking lot's empty, I had a chance to. So it's quite a dip there. Or sidewalk's quite high. Community services thing, Bob has already talked about that this morning. There's a lot of thought for the budgeting, is what we can do there. COVID is up in our area here. Since August 1st, we've had 215 new cases and in our county alone, and 4,300 in the region, which goes to La Crosse County, Vernon County, and then all the counties touching us. So I guess, for lack of a better word, week to week, we'll be hearing what's going to be changing, if there's going to be. And he commented about the one school district that did go all masking, has very few cases, and other school districts having issues with things happening. So I guess keep that on. Not much going on in La Crescent except Apple Fest this weekend. Be prepared to come out and have a good time, I guess. And got a couple of new businesses in La Crescent. That's about it.
Says an afterthought, when we were talking with the sheriff as far as budget, he had asked about, you know, his building that they use for impound
shed.
the shed out there. The sheriff's posse wants to know about putting up another building out there next to that to store the building, you know, to store the equipment and the
drone.
the
For the
drone and
drone.
whatnot, the old ambulance and the drone, that they keep it in out there so it doesn't have to sit outside.
They want it heated too, correct?
Well, it wouldn't do any good to put up the building if it didn't have the heat that, I mean,
Some of that equipment.
Well, the impound shed isn't heated. That's
the
what-
impound had shed, no. I don't know if we'd have to heat that or not.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know about them drones. They gotta be in warm. I think that's why they moved it into the sheriff's office up here now.
Yeah.
Someplace. I don't know if it is.
It was just food for thought that he wanted us to think about.
There's still room there on the big lot area there to the west.
I know the sheriff talked about when we moved that impound shed, that the possibility of adding on to it, making it a little bigger, so they had a little more room. So I don't know if that would be a possibility to just add on to it.
Just something that he had brought up that I'll throw out for you as far as that's concerned.
Would that qualify for ARP monies?
That, I don't know. It's a rescue thing, so it's an EMS kind of a thing, so.
I suppose they got like a 4-wheeler or something, maybe something they gotta keep in there. I don't know what they all have for equipment.
Keep the 4-wheeler in the sheriff's office, or sheriff's garage too.
So what are your guys' thoughts on this mandate vaccine? What do you think about that?
I'm gonna reserve my thoughts on that till we get more facts.
Nothing in stone yet, right?
Not yet, no.
OSHA has not come out with a form.
OSHA's gotta come out
Not
with
yet.
their rules, yeah, or how they gonna do it. And in that email from AMC, that it said that right now, there's nothing that we're required to do, so it's just a wait and see thing.
Right.
I guess we have access to the numbers of our employees who have gone, got vaccinated and not? What kind of percentages do we have? Can we even get that through John, or is that private?
I don't, I wouldn't, I'm a guess on that.
Yeah, it's just, I guess we're dealing with public. Answering Greg's question, my thought is we gotta take care of the public. And it's, sometimes we may not agree with everything that happens. But we also have to think of how what we do affects other people. So kind of, that's a tough one. I don't know what to say.
When you listen to the news reports, and you gotta take everything with a grain of salt, but when you listen to some of these reports about people in the medical field that are refusing to get the vaccination, and rather than get the vaccination, give up their job. That's a dedicated group there as far as that's concerned, but it's
Kind of a
interesting.
minority.
Well, it's a minority, but
But still, it's a local minority.
you look at the medical field, especially around here, you look at Mayo as an example, making that require, and then they have what they were talking about as far as Fort McCoy and the refugees that are coming in there, and the medical needs. I mean, none of them are vaccinated for anything as far as measles or any of that stuff. And
There's been an outbreak too.
yeah, so it's putting the stress on our medical. Besides COVID, that's putting the stress on the local medical field. Anything else from anybody?
So we're gonna have a pretty full schedule for a workshop next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah,
That's what I figured.
that'll be fun.
Bring a lunch. Order lunch.
Good order lunch. I'll bring donuts. Any public comment? Otherwise, we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.